On today's hot sheet, I'm discussing what a government shutdown could mean for the housing market, as well as the agencies within the real estate industry that would be impacted most. Plus, a record number of buyers are looking to relocate. Today is Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. I am Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. All right. Thanks for jumping into this hot sheet. If you're here on the live stream, let me know in the live chat which market you are tuning in from. Get the most out of our BAM content by joining BAMX. There's a code down below, HOT, to get 10% off of BAMX. It's also where you can get all of the daily downloads from this show, the hot sheet, every single day, all in one place. All right. October 1st is like just a few days away, and it's the deadline for lawmakers and the possibility of a government shutdown. You're probably seeing headlines, and there's massive attention now ramping up towards that. If lawmakers can't agree on funding before this deadline, millions of federal employees will stop receiving paychecks, and various government agencies will be affected. Also, what could happen is there could actually be a little drop in rates. There'll be actually minimal impact on mortgage agencies. Initially, government agencies closely tied to the mortgage industry, such as Fannie, Freddie, and the Department of VA for Veterans Affairs for VA loans, are expected to be minimally impacted because they are funded by lender fees. Okay, so the IRS will also remain funded. Too bad, too sad. Also, operations like income verification will continue. And in fact, there'll probably be some delays in a mortgage if we had a government shutdown, but you might actually see a drop in mortgage rates. So I don't know. Let's pro-con this thing. Millions of federal employees will stop receiving paychecks. I mean, you can make an argument that millions of them maybe should. We have a lot of people on payroll here in U.S. federal land. A lot of them we really need, but a lot of them, maybe there could be a debate. So I don't know. Maybe it's 50-50 pro-con there. I'm half kidding. And you also have minimal impact on mortgages, maybe a drop in mortgage rates. I don't know. Shutdown doesn't sound too bad. And shutdown is much different than default, which was the scare in the spring. Now, remember, just like the spring, a deal probably comes together on, September 30th, probably the last hour. These politicians want to be seen as heroes. They'll come with their capes to Washington, D.C. on both sides of the aisle and save the day. Then they'll both go out to their respective press conferences and say how they did everybody a huge favor. But a shutdown is much different than the default scare from the spring. Here is the big difference. It's number one, it's less dire than a default on debt. A default on debt would really have hurt the U.S. Prominence of being the position of power when it comes to the dollar. And a shutdown really revolves around how much the government should spend. The reason I'm joking about those government salaries is I think the government should just spend less money. I think we spend a lot of money, and that's kind of what the shutdown means. Is like, hey, we can't agree on what we should spend, so we're just going to shut it down until we can come up to terms on what we're going to spend. So it's not a debate or a situation on whether it has enough money to spend. Okay, we've got the money to spend. We're arguing over what should we spend it on. A government default would have more catastrophic economic consequences, whereas shutdowns have been more frequent in the past. They have happened. You really don't actually, our day-to-day, you don't really notice it. If you're a government employee, you probably notice it because you're like looking for a paycheck that week. Okay. And so impact on consumer confidence and mortgage rates, there'd be an impact there. The rates would actually come down a little bit is the theory. This is according to realestatenews.com. And, consumer confidence would actually, go down as well, because it's like, hey, to the average consumer, it's like, what does this mean? We're in a shutdown. Is this good? Is this bad? Should I be excited about this? Should I be miserable? Most people, I think, are going to lean towards being skeptical. Okay. In a situation like that. All right. Now, what can this shutdown mean for the housing market specifically? Okay. So I touched on rates there. there is an email from NAR, National Association of Realtors, which outlines how some agencies in the real estate industry will be impacted if our government does shut down. Okay, so Federal Housing Administration, HUD's contingency plan states that FHA will endorse new loans in the single-family mortgage loan program, except for HECM and Title I loans. It will not make new commitments in the multifamily program during the shutdown. No problem. We got plenty of multifamily coming online. We've got the most, in fact, that we've ever seen coming online here in the next 6 months. So we're going to have an inventory surplus on multifamily. FHA will maintain operational activities, including paying claims and collecting premiums. FHA contractors managing the REO HUD homes portfolio can continue to operate. You know, interesting on that. Where is that piece that I just saw? There is a here it is from Black Knight. Mortgage performance. I'll put this. Is there anything here to share? Just going off on a completely side note here, but I think it's important. I will airdrop this to my iPod and iPods were what, Haley? Were you even old enough for the iPod? Yeah. In the live chat, let me know if you had an iPod. Haley is a recent UConn grad. She is claiming that she had an iPod. But this must have been like when I had the Atari growing up. It was like a hand-me-down situation. So let me get this over to, here we go. Let me share this on the screen with you folks. Black Knight data. First look at August 2023 mortgage data. Mortgage performance remains strong, but slowing improvement suggests delinquencies may be nearing cycle lows. So we know that delinquencies are at all-time lows, but what Black Knight is basically saying here is we're potentially at the bottom. At 3.17%, the U.S. delinquency rate improved 4 basis points in August and is nearly a full percentage point below its 2015 to 2019 same month average. However, steady slowing in the annual improvement from negative 40% in early 22 to negative 0.8% as of August suggests delinquency rates may be nearing cycle lows. Okay, so we're hitting a potential bottom on delinquencies. Okay, total U.S. delinquency rate, loans 30 or more days past due but not in foreclosure. Year over year change still negative 0.77%. Month over month change negative 1.17. So we're up though. Total U.S. foreclosure starts month over month up 21.33%. Okay, we're up 10.74% year over year. Total U.S. foreclosure starts. Now remember, we were starting off of 0 because we stopped foreclosures. Okay. But the month over month number is a little interesting. It's a decent jump, 20%. Total U.S. foreclosure sales up 13.25% month over month and 4.27% year over year off of nothing. Not really that concerned about that number, but Black Knight's just saying, hey, pay attention. It's starting to maybe bottom out there. All right. Now going back to that was just a complete side note on what agencies, according to NAR, will be impacted on a government shutdown. The REO home portfolio is going to continue to operate. There'll also be some delays in FHA processing, which may occur due to short staffing. FHA updated policies allow borrowers to obtain private flood insurance. More on the flood insurance here in just a second. Should the NFIP lapse, FHA borrowers can obtain flood insurance from the private market. Okay, good luck there, right? Government-sponsored enterprises, okay, will also be, some of these will be impacted. During previous shutdowns, Fannie and Freddie have continued normal operations. They're not reliant on appropriated funds, okay? There are 4 key areas for consideration, though. Verification of employment, tax transcripts, verification of social security number, and proof of flood insurance application. Okay, so those parts will create some delays. Rural housing programs, the U.S. Department of Ag will not issue new rural housing direct loans or guaranteed loans. Scheduled closings of direct loans will not occur. Okay, NAR, though, NAR has a focus. Okay. NAR is coming out and saying, we have a focus of a government shutdown. I bet you NAR is probably hoping for a government shutdown so that they can put out more commentary like this. We have a focus. We have a plan. We have a purpose. And it's not all these allegations and accusations that are happening inside of our operation. Go listen to yesterday's Real Word podcast here on the channel if you missed it. They're eating their own now. You've got NAR staffers saying, I want to get rid of, what I've been saying, get rid of the CEO, really clean house in there. But this kind of stuff here, I'm going to give NAR little credit where credit is due. This is what we've got you for. They're protecting people in a potential government shutdown. This is where, and I talked, I go deep on this in yesterday's Real Word podcast, where you're spending our money, our meaning if you're a realtor listening to this, if you're a member of National Association of Realtors, spending NAR's money, the dues money on whatever they want. Let's start this committee. Let's go hire an attorney for this staffer so that they can feel comfortable. And listen, I think you got to clean house. A lot of stuff that's happened has been absolutely terrible. It's been outspoken about that. But the majority of the money NAR goes, collects should be going against the antitrust lawsuits, protecting home buyers in this country, protecting buyer agency, protecting homeowners with situations like this. The association has launched a targeted call to action to defend current and future insurance, flood insurance policyholders in case of a shutdown. They're working to protect the real estate economy as the government shutdown appears increasingly likely by October 1st if Congress does not pass stopgap spending measurements. Without a deal to fund the government by the end of the fiscal year, on Saturday, an array of government services critical to the real estate sector would come to halt. This national flood insurance program is one of them. Absent a last-minute deal, there is a consensus in Washington now that the government will shut down this weekend. The only question seems to be how long it will last. So NAR Chief Advocacy Officer Shannon McGann says this is going to happen. Her projection is, yep, shutdown happening. The advocacy team is continuous contact with lawmakers over how this shutdown will affect the real estate sector, which makes up nearly 40% of the entire U.S. economy. Well, NAR, if you didn't spend $46 million on Hava's marketing group, you could probably, start your own little flood insurance program for consumers, but we just spend money on silly stuff, supporting friends, people in high places, protecting each other. It is important to put this possible shutdown in perspective, McGann says. The U.S. has lived through 22 government shutdowns in the last 50 years, okay? The longer the shutdown, the more harm done. One thing is for sure, in a shutdown, no one wins. There are a lot of factors at play at the moment. We have political dynamic that is pretty unprecedented. The longest government shutdown lasted 34 days from October 2018 through January 2019. I was during the Trump administration, of course. Okay, so there you go on what NAR is going to do. Their main focus seems to be on flood insurance and protecting those who would be without flood insurance during that time. Okay, we've got record relocation happening according to Redfin. Okay, a record share of home buyers are relocating many places endangered by climate change. I've spoken about this before, where it's like, people just, when they're moving, they're not considering climate change as much, which also makes, obviously climate change is happening at scale, for lack of better words, but it's much more destructive than ever before because of how many people are relocating into these prime areas, where the prime areas for, climate catastrophes. Okay. So a record 26% of home buyers are looking to move to different parts of the country, up from 24% a year ago, roughly 19% before the pandemic. Sacramento and Vegas, which grapple with extreme heat, are the most popular destinations for relocating home buyers. 4 of the 10 most popular are in Florida, which obviously Florida faces risk of hurricanes and flooding. Not the only area for either of those, by the way. And here you go. Here's a graph showing this record number of relocations since 2017, just on an upward trajectory. So if you're in one of these, feeder markets, people coming into, this is a great chart. Hey, this number is going to continue to accelerate here. There's a big reason why people that are buying today, if you have inbound migration, if you're Tampa, Florida, okay, somebody says, oh, am I buying at the peak here of Tampa, Florida? Well, here's the national trend of home buyers looking to relocate. Then you could go, Tampa, Florida's example, and show the inbound migration, how it keeps increasing year over year. And with this much demand, do you think prices long-term go up or go down? Of course, they go up. People keep moving to here. Now, if you're on the other side of that coin, where you have outbound migration, that chart might not benefit you, but it'll be in BAMX section, daily download section of BAMX, rather, for our BAMX members. If you're not, use code HOT, of course, to get your discount. This data is in the report based on searches of about 2 million Redfin users who viewed home sales across more than 100 metro areas from June 2023 to August 2023. Okay, so here's the big areas. Okay, we'll go through the top 10 metros home buyers are moving into by net inflow. Net inflow is the number of Redfin.com home searchers looking to move into a metro area minus the number of searchers looking to leave. So they're going off of search queries. Sacramento has the 5,100 net inflow, 8,900 net inflow for August 22. So down from 22 to 23. The top origins looking at Sacramento will be San Fran, and top out-of-state origin will be Chicago. Okay, net inflow for Las Vegas, 5,000. It was 68, down from 6,800 in August of 22. LA is looking to Vegas the most. Okay, that's top origin for both city and out of state. Orlando has 4,300 net inflow this year, only 2,200 last year. So up from last year, unlike Sacramento and Vegas. And it's New York, baby, on both for Orlando. Northport, Sarasota is at 4,000, down from 5,300 the year prior. New York on both. Tampa, 4,000, down from 7,100. New York on both. So when I said yesterday, I think it was yesterday on the hot sheet, Florida versus New York, Florida being now the second most wealthy state with the most housing wealth. Real estate is worth the second most in the country in Florida, the first most in California. But Florida beat New York out for that second spot. Well, it's because of New York. That is evidence right there, of course, that New York keeps looking at Florida. Myrtle Beach, 3,700, up from 3,100 year prior. Washington, D.C. Is the top origin for Myrtle Beach. Cape Coral, 3,600, down from 54. Chicago. So that's interesting. Cape Coral, Naples has historically been a Chicago Midwest hotbed, while the East Coast of Florida has historically been East Coast, Northeast, East Coast folks migrating there. That being said, you see Tampa is New York now. Sarasota is New York. So it's starting to happen on the West Coast of Florida, but Cape Coral staying true to its OG roots of Chicago, looking down there as the top origin. Dallas, Texas, 3,400, down from 4,700 the year before. It's LA. Portland, Maine. Boston, looking at Portland, up 3,300 from 3,100. And then Houston, Texas, down to 3,100 from 3,300. And New York, looking at Houston, Texas. Now, how about home buyers leaving by net outflow? Okay. So look at these numbers. Huge for San Francisco. 26,000 plus for net outflow. Down from 39,000 though this year. Portion of local users searching elsewhere, 24%. Okay. New York, big numbers, 25,000. Portion of local users searching elsewhere, 30%. Top destination, Miami. We continue to see that trend. LA, let me know in the comments if you're experiencing in any of these markets. LA, 20,000, down from 32,000. 19% are looking elsewhere. Vegas, the top spot. Washington, D.C., 19% people looking elsewhere. Salisbury, Maryland, the top spot. Chicago, 17% of people that are searching outflow. Milwaukee is a big spot. Boston, Hartford, Detroit, Denver, and Seattle finish off the top 10. Okay, Sacramento. Here's a Sacramento migration and relocation chart. San Francisco, LA, Chicago, Visalia. I don't know Visalia, and Eureka. Okay, all right, there you go. I'm not familiar with Visalia. I might have completely gotten that one wrong, but it is on the list there. There you go. There's my BAM screensaver for all of you guys. If you're not a BAMX member, I guess that's your reminder to become a BAMX member. Use code HOT to jump into BAMX. On touching just on some of the Redfin data, obviously elevated mortgage rates with the average rate exceeding now 7.5 has influenced the U.S. housing market. People might be moving to areas where they can get more for their money. Article also highlighting that these popular destinations like Sacramento, Vegas, or Orlando, North Port, Myrtle, Cape Coral, vulnerable to extreme weather, and home buyers just have not really taken that into huge consideration on those moves. Okay. There you go on all of that. Hope you enjoyed that hot sheet. Hope you're enjoying it more than you're enjoying the story of the 10-year, which is at 4.503. Of course, a higher 10-year is not only going to impact the 30-year, but it's continuing to impact the stock market. The longer the 10-year is higher, and if it gets up over 5, you're going to see investors start to invest there instead of the stock market. You can see stocks coming down, as well as the 30-year continuing to go up, making it harder on businesses and obviously consumers as well, especially consumers who are looking to take out a mortgage. Yesterday's 30-year fix came in at 7.50 yesterday, just down from 7.51. Those are the two highest marks in the last 20 plus years on the 30-year fixed. So there you go. We're at 7.5. I don't expect much movement today. Looking at the 10-year, love for you to get the most out of what we do at BAM by joining BAMX. Use code HOT to get 10% off. And I'll see you back here tomorrow on the hot sheet, 9:30 on the east, 6:30 on the west. Until then, toodaloo.